Dr. C here again. This time we're going to talk about salt and water. In this container I have a saturated solution of salt water. That is, the water holds as much salt as it can. If I put more salt in there, it won't dissolve. Everybody knows the ocean is salty. Where did all that salt come from? Well, over billions of years, the fresh water falling on the land dissolved any natural salts such as sodium chloride that were in the rocks and the dirt that it passed through, and rivers eventually carried them out to the ocean where they stayed because the salt does not evaporate from the oceans like water does through inherent rain. Okay, so what about adding salt to water? What happens? First of all, the salt dissolves into the water, breaks up, sodium chloride breaks up into sodium and chlorine ions, and finds its way in between the open spaces in the water. So it makes the water denser because it doesn't increase the volume of the water. And when you dissolve a solid into a liquid, it does two things. It raises the boiling point and it lowers the freezing point. I have a container of water that is fully saturated with salt. I have another container of water, it's dyed kind of purple, that has some salt dissolved in it, but not as much as this. And I have a beaker of just fresh water without any salt in it, and that's kind of a lime green, so that it can be differentiated. What I'm going to do is pour these together, and if I do it right, very gently, there will be layers created of water floating on top of water in different densities. This will take a while, so I'll probably speed this up. Now on top of this, I will pour the perfectly fresh water. Again, very slowly, so there's not too much agitation. And if everything goes right, we should have a nice, oops, forgetting that fills up as I pour into it. It's mixed up quite a bit, but there are three separate layers. And this is important because as the ice caps melt and the glaciers melt, there's more fresh water released into the ocean, and that fresh water tends to ride above the salt water. That disrupts the natural currents that control the weather around the world. Thanks, I hope you enjoyed this session. Come back for another little knowledge nugget with Dr. C. Thank you.
Have you ever been curious where your drinking water comes from and how it is purified? You might be surprised to find out it all starts here, the Savannah River. A man-made channel directs the water about a half a mile to a river pump station. At this station, the water is raised to an elevation 26 feet above the river level. The pump station is capable of pumping 55 million gallons per day and supplies the water for both of the Beaver Jasper Water Authority's water treatment facilities. From the river pump station, the water travels another half mile flowing downhill to a reservoir which contains 180 million gallons of water. This reservoir also serves as a habitat for many kinds of wildlife. There are even a pair of American bald eagles that call this reservoir home. From the reservoir, the water flows to one of two water treatment facilities. Combined, they have a total water treatment capacity of 44 million gallons a day. This is Currysburg, which can produce up to 15 million gallons a day. To start the treatment process, water is pumped up into a rapid mix tank where alum and lime are introduced into the water. The lime adjusts the pH, and the alum begins the process of attracting foreign particles too small to be filtered. The particles clump together with the alum, forming larger particles that eventually sink to the bottom or can be filtered out. Inside the Perrysburg lab, the technician can run a test that simulates the rapid mix tank to determine the correct amount of alum needed for the particles, like flop, to form. From the rapid mix tank, water then flows into the first of two flocculation basins, where the water's motion is reduced, allowing the flock particles time to form larger particles. As time progresses, the particles get heavier and begin to sink to the bottom. As the particles are sinking, the water flows into sedimentation basins. In the sedimentation basins, the impurities settle to the bottom, where they are collected by sweeps, and the clean water exits the top of the tank on its way to the next step of filtration. Here you can see the water, which by this step in the process is already 95% clean, rising out of the top of the weirs in the sedimentation base. The impurities that were collected by the sweeps are later pumped out of the system into a holding pond. The next step for the treated water is filtration. The water flows into a large tank in which the floor is a large sand and anthracite filter. Gravity pulls the water through the filter, capturing the remaining solid impurities. The final step in Perrysburg is disinfection. Beaufort Jasper Water Authority produces its own chlorine solution on site for disinfection. It is introduced to the water after filtration and before it is pumped out into the distribution system. Back in the lab at Perrysburg, there are technicians that take hourly samples of the water at all stages of the process to ensure the quality remains consistent. At the same time, a computer system monitors the water quality minute by minute, 24 hours per day, and alerts technicians of any unwanted changes in water quality. Technicians make adjustments to the chemical dose or water production rate as needed. Maintenance personnel also take care of calibration of instruments and maintenance of equipment. And this entire process, from start to finish, continues day and night, 24 hours per day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, providing you clear, safe, clean power.
J, and and I just got complete with the Raw Bras retreat. It was absolutely magical and transformational, and I'm going to be as raw and as real as possible, and that I even told the Raw Bras that they actually not necessarily tell or go deep on their testimonials, on their videos, on how powerfully life transformational these retreats are.
Favorite part? I guess my favorite part was the appreciations that we did at midnight, and I was exhausted. I wanted to go to bed, like I literally like, and then Daniel was like, okay, we're gonna do an exercise, and the exercise gave me so much energy, I didn't want to go to sleep. I think I went around and said what I appreciated about 22 people, and I found that it was energy that can wake me up. And the same kind of energy that I get when I sleep can come from gratitude and appreciation. And that blew my mind, and I'm going to take that with me and realize that when I'm tired, it may just be that I'm not appreciating enough, and I can just throw some gratitude out there and wake myself up.
It's a pretty indescribable feeling. I feel true. I feel true to myself, and coming on this retreat, it allowed me to express that and to rekindle and reaffirm my love for nature and God's creation. You want love to come naturally, but at the same time, you sometimes feel like you need to work for it. But when I came here and I experienced other people and their viewpoints and how it reflects in my life, and I felt love, and it shifted that concept.
I would say that it's an invaluable experience that you won't find anywhere else. The techniques you learn, exercises you do are life-changing, and it's just something you should do. Just go for it.
My favorite part of the retreat was learning about myself, about what I was capable of doing. I had no idea like who I was until I became it. If you have a little small interest in seeing what this is about, grab hold of that interest and just go for it, because there's no regrets. What are you going to lose from learning about yourself? There's nothing to lose. We all want to know about ourselves. And then through that, you get to fill yourself up and then overflow into other people's lives.
I want to get this off my chest. I don't think that I've ever experienced so much personal growth in my life. My high point came actually on the last night. We played someone else and I broke through the other side. I had such a breakthrough, and I saw so much happen. I saw God change. I saw him become himself. At that night, I saw him change. I hope he's never. And that was just the most magical, one of the most magical moments of my life. Like the stars were shining, an incredible amount of stars, more stars I've ever seen. The ocean, the hot springs, the vibe of the whole place, all the people that were there with, the people that we met, it's exactly. And then I met myself in that night. Oh, yeah.
So this is where we get really good advice. I would say some of the best I can give you is join us in once in a while. Maybe. Just do it. If you're feeling inclined to do it. If you feel a magnetic draw beyond what your mind confident, and you might not sound that psychological, but you feel still drawn to it. Don't let practicality get in the way of your readiness. See, Lord, maybe we are made of infinite parts. Maybe we are made of 7 billion plus parts, and how we treat each other is how we treat that person that's inside of us.
The amount of love that I have for that person, that I have the least amount of love for, is the same amount of love I have for God. Because I want to love God with everything that I have.
I want to thank God first and foremost for this retreat. Without Him, it wouldn't be possible. I didn't earn this life. I don't own it. It is His. And I want to live when there's going to come many times in life when there's something uncomfortable to share, but it's on our hearts. And I don't want to live up to other people's opinions. I don't want to idolize other people's opinions. I want to just know that God is my judge. So these are all topics we cover at the last retreat and the next retreat and the one after that, God willing. Amen. See you there.
Yes.
Will, is your heart pulling you?
Just do it.
When is it?
Just do it.
May 28th, Oregon. May 28th, Oregon. We'll God's country.
Silent wound whose lips confess. Love lost under love's duress. A curse confessing. Hope and in reverse the blessing. Empty nesters. Hollow hole won't coalesce. Regrets emote from holding chests.